What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I am Freed. So, today, what we're talking about is David Zaslav and Warner Brothers CEO and how he is truly attempting to ruin film and cinema. And I mean, just the Warner Brothers name, in my opinion. So, first Batgirl, if you didn't remember earlier this year, Batgirl movie was completed. They had like shown testers, they had shopped it around, and then they were like, nope, sorry, never getting the light of day. And that movie will never exist now anywhere, not even being shopped around. And then now, recently, in the past couple of weeks, I've been really building up to talking about this story, is the Coyote versus Acme, the Looney Tunes film where it would star John Cena, and then you would have Wile E. Coyote in a legal battle with the corporation Acme, who, if you haven't seen the old cartoons, all the gadgets and gizmos and traps that he's using to try and catch the Roadrunner are all made by Acme. So the Coyote is going to be suing in a legal battle with the company who makes all of these products that keep backfiring on him. And of course, you had David Zaslav, the man right here, who wanted to use that movie as a $30 million tax deductible in order to just recuperate some of Warner Brothers' losses. Now, David Zaslav is a rare character. Actually, I shouldn't say he's that rare, but the problem is he is the leading man when it comes to bad decisions made in Hollywood and what these studios are doing wrong. Now, not only is there a laundry list of other poor decisions that poor Dave has made over the years as far as trying to reinvigorate, we'll say, certain IPs that Warner Brothers or Discovery has, but also he is the man, the legend behind getting rid of HBO from the title of HBO Max or HBO anything. There's no HBO anymore. That's another thing that David saw to get rid of. He is the man. Hold up. Round of applause. Good job. Good job, David. You did it. Yeah. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. So, yes, he is the man that thought to get rid of HBO. Now, this article tries to help him out. But then it also says, thanks to HBO's recent programming hot streak of House of Dragon, White Lotus, Last of Us, Succession. And I just want you all to take a minute for a second. Think about all the best shows in the history of television. Think about, I would say at least 80% of them are attached to the HBO name. When I think of the best series that we've ever gotten in our lifetime thus far, for generations, they have come from none other than HBO. So I don't really understand why you would want to rebrand from that when it is such a highly regarded staple and name and brand. It's honestly, up until Elon changed Twitter to X, it was probably the worst rebranding of all time. Now, this website and article, it's trying to defend, saying that HBO has had its blunders with HBO Go and HBO Now, and then like obviously some of when you're having the series finales for Game of Thrones or for True Detective, having those apps crash or other problems. So they're trying to stray away from that because they're thinking, oh, maybe people associate HBO with bad. It's like, dude, I couldn't give a fuck. I really couldn't. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, Max is the bad. What is Max? Like, the guy watched one fucking Apple commercial and like was like, that sounds pretty prestigious. I think I'm going to go with that. Yeah, all right, man. Fucking sit down and fucking fuck off. Go away, man. Leave the creating to the creatives. Like, it's not your fucking forte. I'll say that. So, back to the whole trying to just cash in a movie for a check. Why I find that so damning and why going forward I feel like that's detrimental to film and to cinema and to TV shows is because as we move away from physical media, where these streaming services, these movie studios, they have the content, but it's really up to them to like put it out on one of their streaming platforms or to shop it to studios, and now they can just use it as tax write-offs. It's fucking so terrible going forward for creatives. And I even came across like an article. I can't read the whole thing because I'm fucking barred from read because I'm not paying to fucking read it, but you know what I mean? But the title says, "Enough for Me. Has Coyote versus Acme sowed distrust between Warner Bros. And creatives?" And I don't think it takes a fucking genius or to read that article to know the answer. The answer is yes, absolutely it does. Why am I going to, if I just wrote a script, if I have an idea for a film, why am I going to go to this studio that could literally make my dream a reality, bring it to fruition? We go through months, we go through writing, which takes like I don't know how much time that takes, but whatever. Let's just say, films take months to years to make. So you're dedicating all this time. All right. Everything, actors, picking the team, doing it. Like you have a whole crew that you're seeing, and then you're making this beautiful product. You're seeing your idea come to life, all for it to never see the light of day when it's a literal finished product. That's fucking devastating. I couldn't imagine if I was in some of those people's shoes. And the thing is it doesn't just end there with like potentially studios just not taking and shopping around the content after it's made. You also have it where and this happened a lot this year, where whether it was Netflix or Max or Paramount Plus, where these streaming platforms own the rights to certain things or certain shows that they've made, and they literally just put them in the ether. They just erase them from existence because there's no physical copy of these things. They're solely on their streaming platforms, and they're like, hey, this isn't getting viewership. Hey, this isn't making money. We're just going to take it off altogether. We're not going to take up space on our platform for this show or this movie that's not performing. And that is also devastating because then it's just nothing. And that actually recently happened to it happened earlier this year to the movie Hush. I don't know if I don't know if I would call it an indie film, but if you haven't seen it, I haven't seen it personally. I remember seeing it on Netflix. Unfortunately, now I can never watch it. But it was on Netflix for they had a 7-year deal, and Mike Flanagan, the filmmaker who made the movie, he wasn't able to shop it around. He wasn't able to make any physical copies. So now that the Netflix didn't renew the ownership of this movie, it's nowhere in the world. You can't. It's not in any other streaming platform. It's nowhere. It doesn't exist. By all means, it exists somewhere on a drive somewhere, but it doesn't exist. Now, Mike Flanagan did say in that article that I was reading that he is going to be shopping it around, trying to get physical copies made, which is great to see. I mean, it's a 2016 film. I'm sure there's fans of it who will buy it, movie collectors, people who still like collecting physical copies. Unfortunately, I'm a piece of fucking shit who doesn't do that. Even my PS5, I bought the digital version. I'm like, why would you want to own games anymore? Well, now I get why, because that shit's important, man. And going forward, it's going to be important. That's why I think it was so good to see recently Christopher Nolan promoting the Oppenheimer bundle, like the set, like for the physical copy of it when it comes out on like 4K or UHD or whatever the hell they're selling these days. So that's coming out, and like he was saying about like all the added features and like all the added stuff that you're getting when you're buying the physical media of the film. And I really truly think that that's an amazing thing to do. And I think that it's things like that don't cross David Zaslav's mind about how this is. I don't want to call it a cult, but there is a huge fandom following, like when it comes to cinema and movies and the beauty of like indie films and films that might not, or shows that might have a niche audience, and they're maybe they're not going to be the blockbusters. Maybe they're not going to be your 14th time milking the Lord of the Rings series or Harry Potter or whatever other IPs that I'm sure he wants to just like fucking suck dry like a parasite. But those actually hold merit and value to people and to and to creators like around the world who want to see what these people have put together, and that is away from like the mainstream of just watching a fucking Marvel's movie or Marvel. I'm not hating on the Marvels. I'm just saying a Marvel movie every weekend or whichever it is. All this to say, it's just like there was the Paramount Accords, I believe is that what it's called? There used to be like the Supreme Court upheld a Paramount Accords where like it was saying because certain companies in Hollywood, like certain studios were fucking eating other smaller studios, not allowing for more indie films and more like foreign films to be allowed in because like they were holding such a monopoly on everything, including theaters. So these were signed and held up so that like there couldn't be dominating powers in Hollywood. It had to be like evenly dispersed, so to speak. There were still the head honchos, but it opened up a little bit more. And I'm absolutely butchering this explanation of it, but it's actually fucking complicated because when you read, hey man, I didn't go to law school. I tried reading it like last week and I barely understood it, but hey, it makes sense to me. And all I'm saying is maybe we need to fucking look back into that shit and maybe, update it a bit for streaming services. For example, I'm pretty sure with like the Supreme Court getting rid of that opened up the whole Disney taking 20th Century Fox. And then now like they're taking Hulu. I don't know where Hulu falls because it's a streaming service. But like I said, this thing hasn't been really updated. Like it was made in like the 1960s for Christ's sakes or something like that. So anyway, I hope that gets like looked at and something gets resolved, like something is done in order to like, you can't like, there has to be rules in place where you're not allowed to write write off a movie just because you think it might not perform, where you're allowed to write it off as a $30 million tax deduction. What fucking scumbag shit is that? That shouldn't be allowed. Come on, IRS, get in. Come on. I don't know. All I'm saying is that art matters. It should never be snuffed out. And I'm really fucking disappointed thank God the internet is here and we pushed and people signed fucking change.orgs. They tweeted about it all day long. And now like they're actually shopping around Coyote versus Acme to studios. And guess what? And streaming services, guess what? Netflix, Amazon, and Disney, I think. I don't know if it was Disney. 2 or 3 of the major players were invested. Maybe even Paramount. I can't remember. But hey, you know what? You got Netflix and you got Amazon Prime. That's 2 big players right there that were just down to fucking take that in. And these people were worried that no one wanted to buy it. So you just never know. Give it a chance. Give art a chance. Anyway, guys, this has been my rant/ramble about David Zaslav and how he's a fucking moron. Hope you enjoyed. I'll hit you on the next one. Peace.